Do you feel that something invisible follows you during the night? In recent weeks, thousands of people around the world have reported strange sensations during sleep. Weight on the chest, unexplained insomnia, chills without apparent cause, sudden awakenings between 3 and 5 a.m. These are symptoms that medicine cannot explain, but that ancient spiritual wisdom recognizes as signs. Signs that your spirit is vulnerable during sleep. Signs that invisible forces may be taking advantage of your rest to drain your vital energy, plant negative thoughts, or block your blessings. What few know is that there is a reason for these nocturnal awakenings, and a powerful protection revealed by the mystic Father Joseph. If you're experiencing any of these signs or simply seek spiritual protection during sleep, comment now. I am protected by divine light. Day, this phrase has power. It's the first step of your spiritual shield against the forces that try to take advantage of your nocturnal vulnerability. What I'm about to reveal to you isn't found in common books. This is knowledge guarded for decades, in monasteries and convents, transmitted only to the most dedicated. Father Joseph, known for his stigmata and intense spiritual battles against evil forces, frequently spoke about the period between 3 and 5 in the morning as the hour of darkness, but also as the hour of extraordinary grace. It's during this time interval that the veil between the physical and spiritual world becomes thinner, allowing the action of both angels and negative forces. In his private guidance, Father Joseph revealed that a simple household object present in everyone's home carries immense spiritual power when used correctly. Salt. Yes, the same salt that seasons your food. In spiritual tradition, salt is one of the most powerful elements for purification and protection. It absorbs negative energies, repels unwanted entities, and creates an invisible barrier against malicious influences. Father Joseph always kept a small bag of blessed salt in his room and advised his spiritual children to do the same. In the records preserved at St. John's Monastery, it's reported that Father Joseph used salt in his moments of most intense spiritual battle. When he perceived the approach of negative forces, especially during early morning hours, he would scatter a little salt around his bed, forming an invisible cross. The other monks reported that on these nights, it was common to hear strange noises coming from the saint's room, as if a true spiritual battle was occurring. In the morning, Father Joseph's countenance showed signs of fatigue, but also of victory. Now I'll share with you Father Joseph's protective salt ritual, exactly as he taught during his moments of spiritual counseling. Follow each step with faith and attention. This simple yet powerful ritual can completely change your nocturnal experience, protect your spirit during sleep, and prevent negative forces from feeding on your vital energy. First, you'll need a handful of common coarse salt. The brand doesn't matter. If possible, use sea salt, as it contains the power of the oceans, but any salt will serve if your intention is pure. Also, set aside a small, transparent glass container. Never use plastic for this ritual, preferably with a lid. An empty small jar will serve perfectly. Before starting the ritual itself, purify the salt. Place it on a clean surface, preferably a white cloth. With the palm of your right hand suspended a few inches above the salt, make the sign of the cross 3 times, saying each time, "In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, I purify this salt and invoke upon it the power of divine light." Repeat this invocation exactly 3 times. The number 3 represents the Holy Trinity and multiplies the power of the prayer. Now, with the salt purified, it's time to charge the element with protective intention. Hold the glass container with your left hand, the hand that receives energies, and with your right hand, the hand that projects. Place the salt inside the container while reciting 7 times the following prayer. Salt of the earth, divine creation, become a shield against all evil, protection against all negativity, barrier against all spiritual attack. By the power that Father Joseph revealed, I transform you into the guardian of my sleep. The number 7 wasn't chosen by chance. In mystical tradition, 7 represents perfection, complete cycle, fullness. By repeating the prayer 7 times, you'll be activating the 7 layers of spiritual protection. Notice how your energy changes with each repetition. Some people report feeling heat in their hands. Others perceive a slight current of air around their body. These are signs that the ritual is working. When you finish transferring all the salt to the container, close it with the lid and hold it between both hands at heart level. Close your eyes and visualize a white and golden light emanating from your hands and penetrating the salt, charging it with protective energy. While doing this, breathe deeply 3 times and say with absolute conviction, "All evil returns to its origin. Nothing can reach me. I am protected by divine light." Quick pause. If you're taking notes, write everything down carefully. Don't skip any detail. Each gesture you make activates an ancient spiritual force. Continue with me. We're reaching the most important part. The crucial moment of the ritual happens when you go to sleep. Before lying down, take 3 pinches of the consecrated salt and spread them around your bed, forming an imaginary triangle. 1 pinch at the headboard and 1 on each side, near the feet. This triangle creates an impenetrable energy field for negative entities. While spreading the salt, repeat in a low voice, "With this salt I draw a circle of light around me. No evil can cross it. No negative energy can remain. Everything that doesn't come from divine light, depart now." There's an essential detail that few know. This ritual must be repeated for 7 consecutive nights, always at the same time. Father Joseph explained that negative spiritual forces are persistent, and only a shield maintained for 7 consecutive days can truly reprogram the energy field around you. On the 7th day, something special happens. Your etheric body, the energy layer that surrounds your physical body, develops a protection memory that remains active for weeks. During these 7 nights, it's fundamental that you keep the container with the remaining salt near the bed, preferably on the nightstand or on some nearby furniture. The salt will continue working even while you sleep, absorbing negativities and repelling unwanted presences. Some sensitive people report hearing crackling sounds coming from the container during the night. It's the salt absorbing and transforming dense energies. If you happen to wake up between 3 and 5 a.m., which is quite common during this cleansing process, don't be frightened. As Father Joseph taught, this is precisely the time when the veil between worlds becomes thinner. Take advantage of this sacred moment to strengthen your protection even more. Upon waking at this time, sit up in bed, place your right hand over your heart and repeat 3 times, "I awake in light, I remain in light. My soul is protected, my spirit is strong. Nothing that is not of God can remain." The effects of this ritual begin to be felt in the first nights. Many people report deeper and more restorative sleep without the startles and nightmares that previously disturbed their nights. Others notice a feeling of lightness upon waking, as if an invisible weight had been removed from their shoulders. There are also those who report more vivid and positive dreams, often with important messages or with the presence of departed loved ones bringing words of comfort. On the physical plane, the benefits are also notable. The body, free from negative energy interferences during sleep, can perform its natural process of cellular regeneration more efficiently. Many people report improvement in chronic health problems, especially those linked to the nervous and immune systems. Persistent headaches tend to decrease, as well as states of anxiety and depression without apparent cause. In terms of relationships, the home environment also transforms. Homes where this ritual is practiced regularly become spaces of peace and harmony. Conflicts decrease, communication flows better, and even difficult people seem to change their behavior. This happens because, as Father Joseph explained, many family conflicts are amplified by negative energy influences that feed on discord. In the professional and financial sphere, many practitioners of this ritual report significant unblockings. Opportunities that seemed stagnant begin to flow, projects find paths to realization, and even financial resources seem to arrive in unexpected ways. It's not about magic, but about removing energy blockages that were preventing the natural flow of abundance in your life. Mary Johnson, a devotee of Father Joseph from Boston, shared her testimony after performing this ritual for 3 cycles. Of 7 days, I suffered from terrible insomnia for more than 5 years. I woke up almost every night between 3 and 4 a.m. with a horrible feeling of oppression, as if something was pressing on my chest. Doctors couldn't find anything physical. When I started the salt ritual, I confess I was skeptical. But by the 3rd night, for the first time in years, I slept through the entire night. Upon completing the 7-day cycle, not only had my nights changed, but the whole atmosphere of my house. My husband, who didn't even know about the ritual, spontaneously commented how he felt more peaceful at home. Our disagreements decreased, and coincidence or not, I received a better job offer 2 weeks later. Today, I always keep a small jar of consecrated salt in the bedroom and redo the ritual monthly on the new moon. Mary's case is not isolated. Peter Harris, a young entrepreneur from New York, faced an inexplicable sequence of business failures and health problems that doctors couldn't diagnose. After performing the salt ritual for 3 consecutive cycles, totaling 21 days, he reported a complete turnaround. It was as if I was carrying an invisible weight that sabotaged everything I tried to do. During the ritual, I had intense dreams where I saw shadowy figures moving away. In the 3rd week, I woke up with a mental clarity I hadn't felt in years. My energy returned, my creativity soared, and in less than a month, I closed contracts that had been stuck for over a year. The most impressive thing was that people who seemed to avoid me started contacting me spontaneously with partnership proposals. The accounts of spiritual protection are even more impressive. Lucy Farrell, a sensitive and holistic therapist from Chicago, explains that she began using the ritual after noticing disturbing spiritual presences in her residence. "Since I'm sensitive, I can perceive energies and entities. There was something very heavy settling in my house, especially in my teenage son's room, who began to exhibit sudden aggressive behaviors. I started the salt ritual according to Father Joseph's teachings, and on the 5th night, I had an extraordinary experience. I woke up exactly at 3:33 a.m. and clearly saw a golden light pulsing around the bed. At the same moment, I heard a sound like glass breaking coming from the salt jar. In the morning, when checking, the salt had changed color, becoming slightly yellowish in some parts. My son, who didn't know about the ritual, commented at breakfast that he had slept deeply for the first time in weeks and that he felt like he had taken a weight off his shoulders. Otini. What happens spiritually during this ritual? Father Joseph explained that the salt consecrated by prayer creates what he called a Christic field, a vibrational frequency so high that low vibration entities cannot remain. This field acts as a filter, allowing only beneficial energies and light entities to approach during sleep when our consciousness is most vulnerable. An important detail that Father Joseph always emphasized. After completing the 7 days of the ritual, the used salt must be properly discarded. Never throw it in the regular trash, as it will be loaded with absorbed negative energies. The correct way is to dissolve it in running water, like a river, stream, or even in the sink at home, letting the water run abundantly, while reciting, "Return to the earth what came from the earth, transformed and purified by divine light. May these energies be transmuted and return to the source of all creation." This disposal should preferably be done at dawn, symbolizing the end of one cycle and the beginning of another. By preparing new salt for a new cycle of protection, you'll be renewing your spiritual shield and strengthening your connection with the forces of light. There are specific situations in which this ritual should be intensified. If you're going through a period of extreme stress, intense family conflicts, sudden and inexplicable financial difficulties, health problems that arise without apparent cause, or if you feel constant oppression, Father Joseph recommended that the ritual be performed for 3 complete cycles of 7 days, totaling 21 consecutive days. This 3-week period is sufficient to break deeply rooted negative energy patterns. During these 21 days, in addition to the salt ritual, it's advisable to increase your daily spiritual practices. Father Joseph suggested reciting Psalm 91 in the morning and at night, as it is an especially powerful psalm for protection. If you're not Christian or Catholic, you can substitute prayers or meditations from your own spiritual tradition, always focusing on protection and purification. Another fundamental aspect that few know: during the ritual period, avoid as much as possible arguments, negative environments, toxic people, and heavy content, such as violent news, horror movies, or even music with negative lyrics. This is because, during the process of energy cleansing and protection, your auric field becomes especially sensitive and receptive. It's as if you were changing the lock on your spiritual house. During this process, it's better not to leave the door wide open to any influence. If you live with other people, ideally everyone should participate in the ritual, strengthening the collective protection of the home. However, even if you're the only one performing it, the benefits will naturally extend to the entire environment and to the people who live in it. As Father Joseph used to say, a single lit candle can illuminate an entire room that was previously in complete darkness. An interesting phenomenon that many report during the salt ritual is the emergence of revealing dreams. It's as if, by removing negative interferences, your intuitive channel opens, allowing important messages to arrive through dreams. Always have a notebook near the bed to note these dreams as soon as you wake up, as they may contain valuable guidance for your life. Teresa Williams, a retired teacher from Portland, reports a remarkable experience during her 21-day ritual. On the 12th night, I had a vivid dream with my grandmother, who passed away more than 15 years ago. She showed an old document hidden in a specific drawer in the house I inherited from her. Upon waking, I went to check out of curiosity and, to my surprise, found exactly where she had shown a deed to a piece of land that I didn't even know existed. This land, which was in her name, had considerable value and solved the financial problems I was facing at that moment. I have no doubt that the ritual opened a communication channel that allowed my grandmother to help me. Charles Edwards, an engineer from Seattle, shares an experience of physical protection during the ritual. I always drove the same way to work. In the 3rd week of the salt ritual, I felt an inexplicable impulse to change my usual route. I later discovered that, exactly at the time I would have been passing through the usual path, there was a serious accident at the location. I am absolutely certain that it was spiritual protection that made me change routes that day. These and hundreds of other stories demonstrate the power of the salt ritual, not only as spiritual protection, but as a true energy recalibrator for your life as a whole. When we remove negative interferences, our path becomes clearer, our decisions more accurate, and our connection with divine guidance stronger. But there's an important warning that Father Joseph always gave. This ritual, like any spiritual practice, does not replace conventional medical treatments when necessary. True spirituality walks side by side with science, never in opposition to it. The salt ritual is a complement, a way to address the energy and spiritual dimensions that conventional medicine does not yet fully reach. Another crucial observation: when starting this ritual, it's possible that you may temporarily feel more tired, have intense dreams, or even go through a kind of healing crisis. This happens because dense energies that were stagnant in your energy field are being moved and released. It's a process similar to a deep cleaning. At first, the house may seem more disorganized while the cleaning is in progress, but the final result is worth the temporary effort. Some sensitive people report feeling chills, tingling, or even mild headaches during the first days of the ritual. These are signs that the cleansing process is occurring. Normally, these sensations disappear after the third or fourth day, giving way to an increasing sensation of lightness and well-being. It's important to emphasize that the power of this ritual is not in the material elements themselves, but in the intention, faith, and spiritual connection you establish during the practice. Salt is only a conductor, a catalyst for the divine energy that is already present in you and around you. As Father Joseph said, prayer is the key that opens God's heart. In this case, the ritual is a structured form of prayer that uses physical elements as a bridge between the material and the spiritual. To maximize the benefits of this ritual, combine it with a daily practice of gratitude. Before sleeping, after spreading the salt around the bed, dedicate a few minutes to thank for 3 specific blessings received during the day. Gratitude raises your vibrational frequency and enhances the protective effects of the ritual. It's like adding extra fuel to your spiritual shield. If you live in a small apartment or cannot spread salt around the bed, there's an adaptation that Father Joseph recommended. Place the container with the consecrated salt under the bed, preferably in the central region. The protection field will still be formed, albeit in a slightly different way. In this case, visualization becomes even more important. Before sleeping, close your eyes and visualize the salt radiating golden light in all directions, enveloping the entire bed in a protective cocoon. The salt ritual can be enhanced during specific phases of the moon. Father Joseph recommended preferably starting it during the waning moon, a propitious phase for banishing negative energies, or during the new moon, a phase of new beginnings and intentions. Avoid starting during the full moon, when energies are at their peak and can intensify both the positive and the negative. Anthony Silva, a farmer from rural Montana and a devotee of Father Joseph for decades, shares, "My family has maintained the tradition of the salt ritual for 3 generations. My grandmother learned it from a friar who personally knew Father Joseph. On the farm, we have great respect for nature's cycles, so we always perform the ritual following the phases of the moon. We begin in the waning moon to cleanse what no longer serves and complete the cycle in the new moon to sow protection and blessings. It's impressive how our family is known in the region for never having problems with heavy energies or the evil eye, as they say around here. Our plantations prosper even when neighbors face difficulties, and we attribute this to the spiritual protection we constantly maintain through the ritual." There's also an expanded version of the ritual for protection of the entire house, not just the bedroom or sleeping area. In this case, the process is similar, but you'll prepare 7 small containers with consecrated salt, which will be placed at strategic points in the residence. 1 in each main room, living room, kitchen, bedrooms, and at the 4 extreme corners of the house. This expanded ritual is especially recommended when there's suspicion of negative spiritual influences affecting the entire domestic environment. If you notice that the salt in the container starts to become moist with a melted appearance or with altered coloration before the end of the 7-day cycle, this is an important sign. There's a significant amount of negative energy being absorbed. In this case, don't wait to complete the 7 days. Immediately discard this salt according to the instructions already mentioned and prepare a new one. This need for premature replacement usually occurs only in the most intense cases of spiritual disturbance. During the ritual, especially in the first nights, it's common for pets to exhibit unusual behaviors. Cats can become particularly attentive, sometimes seeming to observe something invisible to human eyes. Dogs may bark apparently without reason or show restlessness. Don't be alarmed. Animals are naturally more sensitive to the energy plane and are simply reacting to the cleansing process in progress. This reaction tends to decrease after the third or fourth night, when the energy environment begins to stabilize in the new higher frequency. For those living in particularly dense energy locations or with a history of traumatic events, such as houses where violent deaths occurred, intense conflicts, or where people who practiced negative rituals resided, Father Joseph recommended an additional procedure before starting the salt ritual. In these cases, it's advisable to perform a preliminary cleansing with rue or rosemary incense, fumigating all rooms of the house, especially corners, closets, and little-used areas where stagnant energies tend to accumulate. It's fundamental to approach this ritual with a pure heart and elevated intentions. As Father Joseph warned, any ritual, no matter how powerful, loses its effectiveness when performed with selfish intentions or harmful to others. The salt ritual aims exclusively at protection and purification. It should never be used with the intention of causing harm to others or obtaining undue advantages. The spiritual law of return is relentless. What we send to the universe returns multiplied to us. An important observation about repeating the ritual. After completing a full cycle of 7 days or 21 days in more intense cases, it's recommended to maintain a maintenance practice. This can be done in 2 ways: repeating the complete ritual monthly, ideally during the waning moon, or permanently keeping a container with consecrated salt in the bedroom, renewing it every 30 days. Jacob Newman, a Benedictine monk who studied Father Joseph's original manuscripts, explains, "The effect of the ritual doesn't end abruptly after the 7th day. It diminishes gradually, like a battery that loses its charge. That's why regular maintenance is important. When we perform the ritual monthly, we are recharging our protective shield before it weakens completely." Beyond protection during sleep, many devotees of Father Joseph report that this ritual seems to clear the path for material achievements. Mrs. Claire, a businesswoman from Miami, tells, "For 3 years, I tried to sell my store without success. I was almost giving up when a friend taught me the salt ritual. I performed it for 21 consecutive days with great faith. In the last week of the ritual, I received a fair offer for my business from a person who didn't even know it was for sale. It was as if the ritual had unblocked something invisible that was preventing the business from progressing." Reports like this are common because, in Father Joseph's spiritual view, many material blockages have roots in energy interferences. When we remove these interferences, the natural flow of abundance can circulate again in our life. It's not the ritual itself that produces material results, but it removes invisible obstructions that were preventing opportunities from reaching you. In cases of more intense disturbances during sleep, such as recurring nightmares, feelings of suffocation, or sleep paralysis, Father Joseph recommended a reinforced version of the ritual. In these cases, in addition to the salt around the bed, place a small cross. It can be made of wood, metal, or even drawn on paper under the pillow. If you're not Christian, use a protection symbol from your own spiritual tradition. The important thing is that it's a symbol that genuinely represents light and protection for you. For mothers with children who wake up frightened during the night or present inexplicable fears, Father Joseph had a special guidance. The salt ritual can be adapted for the child's room, but in a playful way, transforming spiritual protection into a magical adventure for the child. Explain that salt is a magical protection powder that keeps bad dreams away, and invite the child to participate in the ritual, repeating simple phrases like, "Good dreams come, bad dreams go." This approach not only protects energetically, but also gives the child a sense of security and active participation in their own protection. There are also records that Father Joseph recommended the salt ritual for people who were about to make important decisions or go through significant transitions in life. Before deciding, clean your energy field, he advised. This is because when we are under the influence of negative energies, our capacity for discernment is compromised, potentially leading us to mistaken or impulsive choices. The ritual would act as a spiritual clarifier, allowing us to see the path ahead more clearly. An interesting phenomenon reported by people who practice the ritual regularly is what they call increasing synchronicities, seemingly casual but significant events that begin to occur with increasing frequency. Robert Azevedo, a lawyer from Denver, shares, "After I started practicing the salt ritual monthly, I began to accidentally meet exactly the people who could help me in certain situations. Books would fall open on pages that contained answers to questions I was contemplating. Opportunities would arise at the exact moment I needed them. It's as if the universe was conspiring in my favor in a way I had never experienced before." This increase in synchronicities occurs because, by cleaning your energy field of negative interferences, you become more receptive to divine guidance and the signs of the universe. It's like tuning a radio to a clear frequency, free of static. The messages were always there, but now you can capture them clearly. It's important to emphasize that the salt ritual, as taught by Father Joseph, is not a superstitious practice, but a spiritual tool based on age-old energy principles. It combines elements of the mystical Christian tradition with universal knowledge about the subtle nature of reality. Father Joseph himself emphasized that any ritual is only a means, never an end in itself. The true objective is to strengthen our connection with the divine and awaken our internal spiritual power. Upon finalizing each 7-day cycle of the ritual, dedicate a few minutes to an expanded gratitude practice. Thank not only for the blessings received, but also for the challenges overcome and lessons learned. Thank your spiritual guides, guardian angels, and if you're a devotee of Father Joseph, thank also for his intercession and teachings. This final gratitude seals the ritual with a high positive energy and prepares the ground for even greater blessings. Perform this ritual today. Don't wait. The energy around you is already moving. The protection you seek is in your hands now. Each hour of delay is a lost opportunity to transform not only your sleep, but the entire energetic quality of your life. As Father Joseph used to say to his spiritual children, God's timing is perfect, but it's up to us to open the door when he knocks.